Okay, so welcome back into Unity. So what we're going to do now is replace our white box oak tree with our detailed one with all our leaves on it. One thing I forgot to mention, when we're max, make sure you've rotated your pivot on the X by 90. If you haven't done that, your tree will be falling over and lying on its side. So if you want it to stand up nice and straight, in your preview window down here, go and rotate your pivot. Right, so first thing to do, delete that. Delete. So it's a nice big space for our oak tree. And drag it into our scene. Wow. And why is it? Get into the correct position. You can see it's all sort of leaning that way. I want it to rotate that right around so as it's leaning the other way. Rotate, rotate, rotate. Yeah, something like that. Just move it so it's not over the bank. Like that. That's cool. Make sure it's slightly under the ground. Here we've got this black. Oh, it's really dark. Thing. It's automatically added because you brought in the textures before you came into Unity. It's already added the leaves to the material, which is pretty good. But we're going to have a look at the materials in a moment. We're going to make sure. Just want to make sure that this is correct position wise. Looks pretty good. Let's rotate it a bit more. I think like that, because I want a lot of bush. I want a big part of the tree sort of hanging out over the side here. And that's looking good. Just rotate, because that's not under the ground. You can tell when it's on the ground because it goes slightly a different colour, like this here. So he's slightly tilting this way, if I can get it right. A bit like that, maybe a bit too much. No, that looks good. Stop a little bit. Okay, let's try that. Let's have a look at that. See, this is what I was saying to you before when we were painting the grass. Don't go too crazy because, you know, we've got to put all our trees and rocks and stuff around. So now I've got to go in and edit what we have put down. I've got to rub some of it out. So it's worth just hanging in there until we've done all this, until we've placed all our main objects, and then go in and paint your grass. So okay, so there's the tree and there's the branches that we've placed on them, and it's looking pretty cool. I'm not sure if it's in the see, I want it in a good position, so let me just rotate it around and see if it looks better in any other. No, I think it was okay like it was. Yeah, that's cool. Okay, so I'm going to play the game now. See what it looks like in this window here. See what kind of. Oh, that's quite nice. Quite dominating. Quite impressive. Yeah, so quite branchy, but I quite like that. I don't mind that at all. It looks like it's just about to come into autumn or fall, and yeah, that looks like. I'll tell you what, I've got a bark texture. I'm just going to put it on there, just to. Sorry, let's go back to our text, our material. Here's the materials here. Look, so it's assigned a. let's just go back into nature. So these are our choices we have. So we have tree creator leaves. Now that's fine, but what that does, you get all this normal map and gloss, but it only renders one side of that for some odd reason. So that shader only renders one side of the polygon. And then we have nature fast. Kind of doesn't work. Not for trees. And then we have this last one here, soft occlusion leaves, which is what it was set at. And this is quite nice. The only downside is that we only get to use our albedo. We don't get to use any of the normal map or anything like that in this shader. So, but it looks pretty good. I've got to say, it looks pretty interesting. Yeah, I think when I go back into max, I think I will just add some more density to it here and there, just to fill it out a little bit more. But all in all, I like the shape. It's sitting there really quite nicely. If I fill up, some of this space in here, it'll really bring this into focus once it's lit all properly. Okay, so let's go to. I was experimenting with some bark materials here as well. Yeah. See, once you get the right color on there, it kind of brings it a bit more into focus. I mean, the UV's all screwed and it's not a very good bark at the moment. Obviously, you can see all these weird lines, but there we go. Let's have a look at that in game with the bark. Yes, that's really good. I like it. It's quite a nice looking tree. Will be when it's finished. Look at the shadow it casts. That's really nice. When this tree here is done also, they'll make a good couple, a good pairing for the entrance to this. Let me just go down here, turn around. So when you come up here, you see these two big oak trees. You know it's somewhere special, and you'll remember that. Hopefully, you'll remember that oak tree, and that oak tree. It's good symmetry. It's good. Symmetry is all part of composition. It's nicely framed. The hut is nicely framed, so it's when you come in here, it works really well. Yeah, that's going to work quite nicely. So there we go. One other thing just to note before we move on, since I did the terrain with you last time, I've added one more texture in here, and that's a rocky texture. You can see it here, and I did that because I wanted some rock sticking out of the ground, so you can see it adds quite a lot to it. I see that's I've got to adjust the tree so it doesn't stick out like that, but that's easy enough. If you whiz over here up the path, you can see my rock sticking out of the ground. I wanted this kind of look going along the path. I think it looks really good, so I'm going to use that instead of putting these big piles of boulders on the edges like this. I think I'm going to use that technique on the path and replace some of these boulders. So if you click on terrain, just go into here, paint, you see I've just put an extra one on the end, which is rock. Basically that's it, and then I've painted it into the terrain. That's all I've done, and you know how to place all these in there. I went on to textures.com, found a really good rock, took it into bitmap to material like we did with the rest of these, and just started painting with it. Brought it into Unity and painted with it, and you get that kind of look, and that's quite nice because it gives it a really good solid foundation, something we can work on even more going forwards. But all in all, good tree. The leaves work well, and we can move on. Like I said, I'm going to fill it out. I'm going to start building this tree now. So, and you should start building all the other trees in the same way as we've done this one, and then bring them in. And I'll give you a summary of all my trees and how I built them, and they'll all be included in the pack, but you should go and build them for your own sort of artistic sort of satisfaction that it's your tree. You know, don't try not to use too many of other people's assets. So that's the tree pretty much done. The oak tree. We're gonna do the bark. Don't worry about this bark. This is just an experimental thing I was working on, and I am going to show you in the next section how to do this bark. So not to worry. And I'm going to do this tree also. Replace it with the high poly one, and obviously do everything to it that we've done to this one, and all the rest of the trees. So you should go ahead and do the same. I can't show you every single tree. I'm just going to use the same technique for those trees as I did for this tree. So that's it pretty much. You know, just go and do the same, and I will do the same also and show you the results of my labor, and I'll do an overview of how I created each one also. So okay, so I'll see you in the next lecture.